Action.
Hi, and welcome back. Thanks for joining us at Audio Visual Connection. This is going to be just a short run-through of our first opportunity to do a hybrid live meeting. Right now, I'm practicing safety by wearing a mask, but I think for the expediency of this video, I'm going to remove it so that I can speak more clearly and you can hear me, hopefully not so muffled.
Action.
Okay, so we're lucky enough here to be able to do our first hybrid live event post-COVID. Actually, we're still in the middle of COVID, so maybe not so post. And the way that we're able to do that, I just wanted to talk about the components that we're using in order to do this. So first, we have limited live presenters. There's only 2 presenters at this meeting today that are here live in person making their presentations. We also have live virtual Zoom participants, and we're using Zoom as our platform. There are others out there, and I'm sure there are lots of other companies that will do this and have different ways of doing it. We just happen to be using Zoom. We have also pre-recorded PowerPoint slides, which some of the presenters have sent in, where they have done their presentation on the laptop with an audio overdub on it, and you can do that easily in PowerPoint. And we follow those with a virtual Zoom live Q&A. There's also one other component where we have people that are Zooming virtual live and doing a share screen with their PowerPoint presentations. So I just wanted to do a quick little overview of the setup of the room. They have tables spaced out. Our Q&A mic is set up, and we put a box and moved the mic away so that hopefully people wouldn't be touching it. So we've had 50-50 luck with that, as I'm sure you guys who have any experience with this understand that some people do exactly what they're told and other people just fall back into their old routine. Up on the stage, there are 2 panel mics, and we also have 2 goosenecks, and we swap them out depending on who the presenter is. We also have isopropyl alcohol, and we are spraying down the microphones and wiping everything down in between all of the sessions. As you can see, it looks very much standard to the way a normal meeting would be. Just less people here live and more people joining us virtually.
Action.
So normally we would do this size of a show with 2 people. Well, because of the virtual component this time, we've upped 3 technicians in here. So we have an audio engineer, and we have a graphics engineer, and we have someone who's strictly dealing with the Zoom situation. So the Zoom person is logging into the meeting via a link that is sent to them to join the meeting, and then they are controlling which camera the Zoom people are looking at any given time. The graphics person is running the switcher, and then of course the audio guy is dealing with a lot of audio issues all the time. Not only all of the usual standard fare that we have with the microphones, but this extra component dealing with the virtual thing.
In other words, I have the hardest part.
In other words, the boss has the hardest job.
Action.
As far as the technical component of this setup goes, a lot of it is like you would have in your traditional meetings. We're using a switcher with multiple laptop inputs that would be running your PowerPoint presentations. A main, a backup, and a MacBook. We've added the additional component of a laptop to run strictly Zoom. We also have another PC here, which is being used as the command center to control our lecture capture, which is another element to this hybrid meeting that the client has requested us to provide. And then you will see one other laptop way down at the other end there, and that last laptop is used as a preview for the Zoom, so that we can monitor what's happening and make sure that the audio is coming through properly, and it's to see what the viewers in Zoom will be looking at. So one of the most important elements of this whole hybrid meeting, obviously, is being able to include the virtual Zoom component. And so some of our largest issues are going to be with audio to get a mix minus. And I know that a lot of you don't understand what a mix minus situation is, and it's a little too complicated for me to explain in this video, so this is really meant for technicians that understand what we're talking about. So I apologize to any laymen who happen to be watching. So in order to accomplish this, in addition to the usual main outs that we are using for the audio, we have to also factor in the Zoom calls for the Q&A. And the situation is using a form of mix minus, which is a setup to keep the audio from feeding back from looping.
Action.
Okay, so what we also, in addition to the Matrox, the Zoom, we are also doing a recording of just the audio into a Tascam digital recorder. We're taking that out of the headset line into the Tascam, and that gives us some good control over the volume for that. And part of the reason we're doing that is we have so many other components in this particular setup for audio. Then we have the PreSonus audio box, USB 96. What this does is this will convert the audio from the Zoom call coming out of the laptop, which has to be USB, and allows us to convert it into an input on the board so that he can control it in the room and people can hear the volume in the room. And we can also mix minus out to control the incoming and the outgoing volume levels.
It's actually coming out of here and going in.
Coming out of here and into the board.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have, if you could come down here, Scott. You can see that we have multiple things going. We've got the podium mic, we've got a couple of panel mics, there's a Q&A mic, we have the main audio out of the PC, there's a couple of lavs in case the attendees felt more comfortable using a lavalier instead of standing and using the same podium mic, although we do have two podium mics that we can switch out for this particular meeting. There's a PC podium run just in case they needed that. We have a spare PC run, and here's your PreSonus. This is the Zoom. This was controlling the audio into the Zoom.
Action.
So the PreSonus box acts as a laptop audio interface. And you can see here what we're doing is we're coming USB out. It goes both ways, in and out of the laptop. So we're coming into the box, then we're coming out of the box and into the board. And then we are taking the board feed out and converting it to XLR back into the front of the box, and that allows us to control the Zoom audio that's coming in and the house live feed that we have here in the room going out, and that way we can control the volume and keep the loop from happening.
Action.
Okay, so we also have, coming out of the main out, the audio that's going to our Matrox lecture capture, and we've split it RCA, which actually we converted to a 1/4 inch off the back, into an RCA SY, and that goes down the table. And into the back of the Matrox. And if any of you have watched our setup that we did at the Carillon Hotel several months ago at the beginning of all of this, you will have already seen how we do this setup for the Matrox box.
Action.
All right, so this USB right here, this is what's coming from the PreSonus, dealing with the audio from the Zoom. This is our Zoom laptop. Zoom. Zoom. So this is where we're getting the audio. We've got our hardline internet right here. And then these two USBs here are controlling our two external cameras. We have a Canon X15 that sits at the front of the room that's shooting back at the Q&A speaker. And we have a little Canon Vixia in the back that is shooting the entire room so that the attendees via Zoom can see a shot of the entire room. Now, there are some limitations. We're doing everything through one laptop, so I can only do one camera at a time. But Zoom has a really good user interface, and it's very easy for me to go down and switch between cameras when I need to switch the scene that the people are looking at.
Action.
And I'd like to point out that both of the cameras have HDMI out, or some form of HDMI or SDI. The larger X15 has SDI. So we're using an AJA UTAP, which will convert an HDMI into USB, which allows us to plug into the laptop. So we have two of those components, one for each camera. So anyways, this is just really a brief synopsis of how we did this first hybrid virtual and live meeting. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that the industry is going to see more and more of this kind of thing. It's affordable for the client, and so far it's been very, very successful with this meeting. And it just goes to show you that it can be done safely and securely. So that's the presentation for today, and